Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. This is the ISO GOAT here back. Let me start this by saying I'm not a financial advisor, nor do I have financial experience whatsoever. Do not invest in anything solely based off my opinions or anything I say in this video until you've done your own due diligence and your own research first. Never throw in more money than you're willing to lose, and also make sure you have a firm understanding of crypto before throwing in any kind of money. Sorry it's a little dark over here. It's been raining cats, dogs, gerbils, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. So yeah, my apologies on that. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Friday to you. Got quite a few updates. Didn't do a video yesterday, so some of this might be old news, just as a heads up. But I will jump right into it. Thank you, by the way, shout out to the people in the XRP community that are constantly doing research. Alan, you are one. If y'all need somebody to find out anything, trust me, you need to hire Alan. Make sure you pay him well, okay? Anyways, next thing. So first thing I got is the future of finance, the way we pay in the next decade. These are all posted on my page, so if you do want to take some time, just scroll through. I have the link tagged as well, so that way you can bring up the full article if you would like. This one basically talks about different cryptocurrency / digital assets. That's the term I prefer, but just my opinion. It talks about Ripple specifically, the network, and how it enables real-time international payments. We've talked about this ad nauseum. You know, I'm not going to go too far into that, but there is some excerpts I did want to take out of here. At its core, the Ripple core protocol is a shared public database. This database includes a ledger which tracks accounts and associated balances. It is continually and automatically updated by the Ripple Transaction Protocol, that's RTXP for those that don't know, so that an identical ledger exists on thousands of servers around the world. When changes are made to the ledger, computers connected to the Ripple protocol will mutually agree to the changes via a process called consensus. The Ripple protocol reaches consensus globally within seconds of a change being made. This is some very important, pivotal information. This is very key. It's going to be very important in the very near future. I promise you, I can guarantee you that, okay? Like I said, and it happens at the drop of a hat. Next thing I want to take from here, most small banks which rely on partner banks for international money transfers can now use the virtual currencies to facilitate international money transfers. We've talked about this ad nauseum. You're probably not surprised by that. I'm not either, but just wanted to throw that out there. Next thing, this is from ECS Fin, IMS Payments Enterprise Payment Hub data sheet. I'm not going to go too far into this. It's very detailed, but it talks about basically Ripple on the side. It has gateways and standards. It has ACH, RTGS, RTP, SWIFT, SWIFT GPI, FedWire, SEPA, SEPA, chips, and then Ripple blockchain. It has ISO 20022 mentioned as well. Open banking APIs. I just figured I'd throw it in here because obviously they touch on Ripple. Next thing, this was very interesting. Shout out to you, Alan, for this. You are the man. Just wanted to say that. To all CHIPS participants and software providers, CHIPS ISO 20022 transition delay. It was dated November 4th, 2022. This is posted on my page. You can look at it. It's very short. It's literally, like 3 or 4 paragraphs. I'm out of here. CHIPS will proceed with the migration of CHIPS Message Format version 5 software this month in a dormant state until next March. By the way, this is from November last year. That is, Field Tag 900 will be turned off at the system level and will be switched on next March to align with the swift implementation of ISO 20022 formats for cross-border payment messaging and reporting. Just thought that was interesting, so I wanted to throw that out there. That's some pretty bullish news in my opinion. Just my thoughts. Next thing. This is from another article. It was posted on my page. I don't really need to go too far into this, but here we go. To make markets with any currency, banks can hold Ripple's digital asset on their own balance sheets and thus don't need to hold Nostro accounts when sending value across the world. We mentioned this. Nostro Vostro has to go away before this is actually implemented, okay? Instead, banks should consolidate liquidity into one pool, thus only making markets between its domestic currency and globally distributable digital asset, often referred to as the universal bridge asset. Ripple has been positioning themselves, okay? And, you know, if you throw it in Google, it also tells you the same thing. A bridge currency. That's the whole point. You're going to need something to bridge all of these currencies of the world, CBDCs, all of that. All of that. Very important. They are positioning themselves for this. Next thing, oh, that's just a diagram. I'm not going to go too far into that. This is from Jeremy Hogan. First word from the SEC versus Library hearing. The SEC admitted on record that the token itself is not a security. Good job, Mr. Deaton. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you, because you're really doing some positive things for the community. Definitely appreciate it. There's some people that have mixed feelings about, someone else representing for them. That's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people out here that have similar sentiment in regards to what's going on, and they do feel like the SEC is overstepping their boundaries. I am one, and I'm sure there's probably plenty of other people. Cool, no problem. So definitely shout out to you, and we appreciate all your hard work for that. Next thing, this is a diagram that's posted on my page. I'm not going to go too far into that. Shout out to ISO 20022. Let's do it. Innovate or die. I just think this is very important, so I just wanted to share this excerpt. When incumbents' business models comes under threat from savvy DLT startups, you know where this is going, or savvier co-incumbent competitors, incumbents themselves become forced to attempt to innovate or die, as the Ripple case illustrates. It doesn't take every single bank using this technology for it to be brought to the mainstream, okay? And, once certain banks realize that other banks are saving money, it's easier to use. Your money actually gets where it's supposed to go, okay? It doesn't end up, on some other planet. They're going to look into these things, research it, and think, hey, you know what? I might incorporate this into my business model. And this isn't just specifically for, Ripple and XRP. There's other digital assets that I think have utility that will be here in the future. There's not just going to be one winner. There's going to be multiple winners, okay? Utility is going to drive the market at some point. Like I said, Bitcoin drives it right now. Cool. All power to it. It's the king right now. It's the store value. That's fantastic. That's perfect, okay? But what does it actually do, okay? There's actual digital assets that are positioning themselves that actually solve real problems, okay? And I get it. Bitcoin, it was basically the first. I get it, all power to it. I'm not knocking Bitcoin whatsoever. Everything has its positives. Everything has its negatives. At the end of the day, typically, the first is not always the best version of anything. The telephone, the wheel, the computer, the keyboard. You got typewriters. You always have to upgrade these technologies so that way they're in tune with what's going on in the world today. Just my thoughts, like I said. So I just wanted to definitely harp on that just as a heads up. It's posted on my page. Make sure you give them a follow as well. Next thing, shout out to Cowboy.crypto. Ireland is an important puzzle piece to Montenegro. Once the exchange has this Irish license, Ripple wants to passport its services across Europe, told CNBC, according to Stuart Alderati. Ripple is also going to file an electronic money license application in Ireland. Hashtag XRP Army, hashtag XRP. Very important. That article is posted on my page. You can take a look at it. Very easy, very quick, easy to understand. No complicated terminology, I promise. Next thing, shout out to ISO 20022. Let's do it! Once again. I'm sorry. Get so in tune with that. Anyways, 2022 Hunk Institute of Bankers Handbook highlights Ripple as a money transfer service. It's basically just highlighted on here. It talks about DLT applications. There's a lot of different topics that it goes into, but specifically DLT. Next thing, shout out to ISO 20022. Let's do it. Once again. Two Ripple partners, Finastra and Volante, are technology providers for Chips. Just so that y'all know, just food for thought, Chips is the largest private sector USD clearing system in the world, clearing and settling 1.8 trillion, with a T, TR, trillion, in domestic and international payments per day. Thanks. Anyways, just as a heads up, like I said, that's very important. These are big names. These are not these small players. These are huge players that move large sums of money. Just a thought. Next thing, shout out to Library, it looks like it's from their website, Library.com. Coinbase should relist XRP. Under the SEC versus Library standard, XRP sold by secondary holders is not a security. Obviously they just had their lawsuit that ended with the SEC. Obviously the SEC admitted that, maybe at some point the SEC will admit that they stepped in some kimchi. But, at the end of the day, I don't think it's a security personally. Like I said, that's above my pay grade. But, just my thoughts. Obviously, I think possibly a Ripple test comes as a result of this lawsuit. You have to pretty much upgrade everything, like I mentioned prior, to current standards and to the current decade, if you want to look at it that way. Okay, so I do think that is coming. When that happens, nobody really knows, like I said, but just a thought. Next thing, I posted this on my page. A gentleman tagged me on this, but so there were basically some banks that went down all at the same time, and people couldn't access their accounts or something of some sort for quite some time. It was ING, ABN, AMRO, and then Rabobank. It's posted on my page if you want to see exactly what I'm referring to, but just throwing that out there. Next thing, this is from Token Insight, Blockchain Solutions. This is about Stellar. After leaving Ripple, Jed McCaleb, one of the co-founders of Ripple, founded Stellar in 2014. Stellar improves on Ripple's technology to capture high capital utilization and low price volatility at the same time. Obviously, this is going to talk about Stellar, the positives and negatives, has like the partners and everything listed, IBM, Circle, Blockcard, Wire, Tempo, and then it also has Ripple partners, SBI, Remit, Santander, just the usuals. So just as a heads up, that article is also posted on my page if you want to read it in full. Next thing, shout out to XRP Crypto Wolf. If the judge rules the secondary market transactions of LBC by people unaffiliated with or having no investment intent in library are legal, it could set a precedent that would be favorable for XRP users. Me personally, I feel like once this lawsuit does conclude, this is just my thoughts. Like I said, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You don't have to share my opinion. That's fine. We can be respectful of different opinions. But I do think in this situation that they won't harm the full-scale use of XRP. Obviously, I know Brad Kimes has mentioned that it could possibly be a note. He's done quite a few videos on that. Definitely recommend you give him a follow. He knows his stuff, and that's one of the first guys I follow myself. So just as a heads up, but that's just my thoughts. Like I said, we'll see how everything plays out. Don't worry too much about the lawsuit at this point. I'm sure people realize, hey, you know what? They are really dragging this thing out right now. Like, if they really could have ended this a long time ago. Okay, they're creating investor fatigue, and some people are getting I guess throwing in the towel, however you want to look at it, and that all power to you. It's not for everybody. It's not, but if you can see the bigger picture and the greater vision of what's happening, then I think it'll start opening some eyes to what's actually going on in the world. Just my thoughts. Next thing, shout out to Rob Lewis. This is actually about the banks going down, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, here we go. It's sketchy because yesterday the government announced that they're going to monitor all transactions over 100 euros. That's in Holland at these days. One visit at the supermarket. If they want to monitor all these transactions, you have to do this digitally. It's way easier and more efficient. And at the same time, ING closed for almost a day. I think it's waiting for the switch. ISO 20022 around the corner. Banks are rolling in faster than the news goes. Just thoughts, just throwing that out there. It was posted on my page. Shout out to you. Next thing, shout out to Michael Collins. The EU Parliament President Roberta Metsola is visiting Ireland today to recognize Ireland's 50 years in the EU. Among topics discussed include the acceleration of the green agenda and digital transition. The green agenda is going to be very important, okay? They want assets that are not going to leave a huge carbon footprint, okay? Something that's efficient, something that doesn't utilize a bunch of electricity. These are just thoughts. At the end of the day, I'm not saying Bitcoin will go anywhere. Like I said, if they really wanted to, they could just regulate it out of existence, between, I don't know, some kind of laws or something on mining. Like, who knows? There's a lot of different ways that they could do that. But, I just thought that was interesting. That was from yesterday, actually, so might be old news, but... next thing, shout out to TechCrunch. India's retail giant Reliance to accept CBDC at stores. Interesting. So I do think a lot of these CBDCs are going to be rolling out potentially this year. Just my thoughts, like I said, there's some nations that have already done it. And they're going to try to find ways to encourage people to use these CBDCs, whether it's at markets, whether it's at, grocery stores, whatever. I think it's going to become a norm at some point. At the end of the day, obviously they want to make sure they do this right. So, regulations and everything have to be set and they have to be correct the first time so that way they're not backtracking. So just as a thought, I thought that was very interesting. And also India has flip-flopped so many times in regards to crypto. It's kind of funny. Like, oh yeah, it's banned. Oh yeah, no, it's not banned. Guess what? It's banned again. Just kidding. It's like, I don't know. They need to figure out what's going on. Anyways, next thing. Shout out to Tour de Meester. U.S. Bank's reserves requirement equals $0 since March 2020. Insured versus actual liabilities, 1.2%. So when the next credit crisis hits, the only way to prevent an immediate FTX-style meltdown of Wall Street is to print trillions upon trillions. A strong dollar is an impossibility. There's a lot that goes into this. BRICS nations are already, they're growing. Like, I don't know what. Like, I feel like there's a new nation jumping on board with BRICS like every week. And like, there's a lot of nations applying to join BRICS. Just as a heads up for those that aren't scared or worried or whatever, that's fine. Like I said, you could literally have like flames in the room. I just imagine the flames in the room with the dog, and he's like, okay, it's fine. But really, it's not. The dollar right now, de-dollarization is happening literally as we speak. Okay, and right now, cash is king. I get it. But I think at some point, that dollar is not going to be worth what people think it's going to be worth. Just my thoughts. And there's other nations that are jumping ship in order to build their new financial system away from the dollar. Like you gotta connect the dots, people. So yeah, I do think that's kind of interesting, and obviously money printer going burr is not a good thing. I'm sure they probably can't even account for all the money that they have printed, just in my thoughts, like I said. I mean, it's what? Current global debt is like 331 trillion, somewhere around there. I'm sure that number actually might be higher than that. I'm not sure if they keep track, like literally just printing money like there's no tomorrow. Like, it's pretty crazy. I don't know. And the fact that they think this is a solution for like long term, at the end of the day, I think they're trying to crash the system so that way they can implement and roll into the new system. Just my thoughts. Like I said, other people have differing opinions. But sorry to go off on a tangent. Next thing, shout out to Watcher Guru. Berkshire Hathaway's Charlie Munger urges the U.S. government to ban crypto. Why is anybody taking this guy serious? Okay, he's the just my thoughts. Like I said, like for what? For what? Like, that article is posted on my page if you want to read it. I think it's kind of a waste of time, but just my opinion. Like I said, you use your own discernment. Next thing, this is basically a diagram. It's posted on my page. It has BRICS nations in the middle. It talks about the new quantum financial system that's coming. I'm not going to go too far into that, but there's a lot of nations that are going to be pivotal and very important in regards to pushing this out. Just as a thought, I'll skip that for now. Now I got some news on some other digital assets. Ooh la la. Shout out to Alan once again. I've got some IOTA news first. And this is posted on my page. I'm going to take an excerpt out of here. Some tokens and projects have use cases in many different industries, and that is the case with IOTA. IOTA has been involved in gaming, finance, automotive, and many other areas. It is designed for the Internet of Things, IoT. Ooh. As an open source distributed ledger. Nowadays, vehicles are not just means of transport, they have basically become digital platforms. With each passing year, more and more emphasis and importance will be put on the digital content and digital capabilities of a car. And talks about IOTA, real time. With more demand for energy and energy grids, you can supply the energy with the usage of IOTA token. IOTA also enables you to build your own instruments for frictionless machine-to-machine communications. Technology, man, it's crazy. Like, back to the article. I'm not going to go too far into that. But it talks about its use cases, things of that sort. Oh, here we go. Some of the most recent use cases for IOTA is a blockchain-based cybersecurity to verify the... I'm not going to say that because they're going to flag mine. It's... starts with a C, ends in an A. Test in airports in Germany. Find that very interesting. Use case and utility is going to matter in this world we are going into, okay? You can play around with the pumps and dumps. All power to you. You want to spend your money doing that. I'm focusing on utility and what problem it is solving. Is it something that is a recurring issue? Is it something that can easily be solved by this digital asset? That's how I look at my investments. That's just my thoughts. You don't have to share in my sentiment. Next thing, got some XDC and Zenfin news. So obviously they're developing their own blockchain as well. I'm not going to go too far into this. XDC, native token used for real-time cross-border settlement mechanism for trade and financing activities. And this is going to be a powerhouse in trade finance, just as an FYI. I think it's like 2 cents right now? Like, it is really undervalued, like super undervalued in my opinion. So there's some charts and everything. I'm going to have some more XDC news later on, but this is posted on my page. I posted a diagram, talks about how the ledger works, how it incorporates different things, issuing banks, etc. I'm not going to go too far into that. Y'all can look at the picture. It's pretty easy. Next thing, HBAR, Hedera Hash Graph. It talks about its governance. It talks about some of its partners, IBM, UCL, Google, Zane, Boeing, Avery, Dennison, Deutsche Telekom. Lots of partnerships. And I think it has lots of partnerships for a reason. Also something you might want to do your own research into, HBAR. It's a third generation public distributed ledger, and then it talks about transactions per second, 10,000, average transaction fee 0.0001, and then average transaction confirmation is 3 to 5 seconds. This is going to be important. You know, these quick digital assets that are efficient, you know, save you money. Like, there's going to be businesses jumping on board and realizing this at some point. Okay, we are early. We are the innovators. Okay, I'd rather be in, 10 years before this thing pops off than a day late. That's just my opinion and my thoughts, like I said. So, do your own research, look into this. Like I said, talks about hash graph. I'm not going to go too far into this. Yeah, more diagrams. All right, back to Ripple. Let's go. Money transfer with RippleNet. RippleNet is a blockchain-based application that allows for making an international money transfer between banks. We know this. Let me see here. There's no daily transaction limit for outgoing Ripple transfer transactions, and the instant transaction limit amount is QAR, USD, Euro, and the British Pound, equivalent to 1 million TL. What else? It's 24/7. Obviously, I think that's going to be very important. 365 days a year, it doesn't sleep. That's going to be a positive. That's why I like the digital asset space and the crypto market, in my opinion. Like I said, I think it's a lot better than stocks. Just my thoughts. But, like I said, there's also no correspondent bank commission. There's just positives associated with this. Next thing. This is from Swift, apparently, American banker. Swift aims to be a bridge for digital currencies. What company do you know of that is trying to, I won't say steal the customers of Swift, but better their business model and work with Swift to move money globally? Just my thoughts, like I said. It's a January 31st article, so it's from this year. I just thought that was kind of interesting and caught my eye. Probably caught yours too. Check it out. It's posted on my page. Next thing, shout out to Gold Telegraph. I think we're at the brink that you could have an economic war of sanctions with China that would be shocking to the economy, much worse than the Russian war. The U.S. would weaponize the dollar, which is why China is stockpiling gold. Just as a thought, I think some of these precious metals are also going to revalue as well in order to accommodate for these things happening globally. Just my thoughts. Like I said, you can do your own research into these precious metals as well as digital current, or as well as currencies as well. So just as a heads up. Gold Telegraph. Federal Reserve Jerome Powell said yesterday that the Fed could not shield the economy from a debt default. Oh, Lord, this ain't good. They expanded their balance sheet in the trillions with government debt purchased since 2020. The Fed has paper losses of almost $1.3 trillion in the past 3 quarters. Irony. They keep kicking this ball down the court. And at some point, you're going to run out of road. I don't know what they have going on, what their thought process is behind this. Like I said, the only thing that makes sense is that they're trying to intentionally crash the market. Just my thoughts, like I said. And that's going to be very detrimental for people globally. Especially the United States for sure, but it's gonna have some after effects. Next thing, this is from World Trade Organization. The promise of trade tech policy approaches to harness trade digitalization. This is actually Zenfin News posted on my page. TradeFinex enables bank and non-bank trade finance entities to transform their trade documents, i.e., bill of lading, invoices, etc., into tokens which can be sold in secondary markets and generate liquidity. Talks about NFTs. The trade finance NFT transaction was conducted on a Singapore. Yeah, y'all can read through this. This isn't too bad of a read. Next thing, more news. DTCC's, this is from August 22nd, 2022, just as a heads up before somebody says this is old. DTCC's Project Ion platform now live in parallel production environment, processing over 100,000 transactions per day on DLT. Project Ion represents one of the largest DLT initiatives in equity settlement across the financial services industry. And then it talks about R3 Corda and the underlying DLT technology. Not going to go too far into that. Y'all can read that posted on my page. There was also a new job application for the head of the CBDC at Bank of England, according to Natster Brighton. Thank you for tagging me in that. Just interesting, like I said, CBDCs, like I said, is going to become mainstream at some point. Maybe they're slowly rolling it out. Who knows? But I think more nations will also be jumping on board. Shout out to Stefan Thomas. This is farewell but not goodbye today. Coil is sunsetting. I would like to thank the team that made Coil what it is, helped create the Interledger Foundation and an ecosystem around it. Of course I'm sad, but the work continues. So kudos there. Gold Telegraph. Silvergate is now facing a fraud probe by prosecutors in the U.S. Justice Department. Silvergate borrowed billions from federal home loan banks. These banks were founded to help support housing finance during the Great Depression in the 1930s. What can possibly happen next? I think we probably have some Black Swan events coming very soon. We seem pretty overdue. So expect it. Next thing, shout out to XRP Crypto Wolf. Coinbase wins dismissal of lawsuit for allegations of selling securities. Kudos to Coinbase. Now I need y'all to get your systems together and stop going down every bull run. Just my thoughts. Anyways, next thing. I think that's pretty much it. I had a post from the World Economic Forum, but y'all can go to the website, check that out. Skip that for now. This is from February 2nd, 2023. Stellar Lumens introduces groundbreaking tool to issue mint and burn new assets on the XLM blockchain. Utility is going to matter at the end of the day. I'm going to try not to make this video too long, so I'm not even going to talk about these last few things. Like, comment, subscribe, share this with somebody you love. ISO Gold out. Catch y'all in another video.